Hello, welcome back to the show. Today I've got Geoff on. Geoff talks about how he's built Geoff Foden online coaching. And we speak about his love for energy drinks and heavy metal music. We speak about how you can be building an audience. And we also cover my background in sales and how I got started in sales and how I ended up here today. No, it was amazing. That gym has like such a big outdoor offering. CrossFit, powerlifting, boxing, UFC. It had a full Ninja Warrior course outside. It had everything about it.
Do you find it mad though when gyms like, because like when you think bodybuilding gym, powerlifting gym, those gyms that they are out there that just somehow manage to just combine them.
That because they don't have such a population that needs.
Yeah.
There isn't a niche of gyms
gym.
there. Let's say a bodybuilding specific gym open, powerlifting, then those would all be busy.
Yeah.
But because that offering isn't there for people, they can only go to that one gym.
Yeah.
So it's like perfect for the people there.
It looks it.
But there's a new gym that just opened there 5 weeks ago. It's got 2,500 members. It's called Oxygen, and I met the owners, and I was speaking to the owners, two German guys and another local guy called Max. So I was speaking to the two German brothers. The gym that they've built is incredible. They own a chain of gyms in Germany already. They own 80 gyms or coming up to 80 gyms. So like I had a chat with them, and what they're building is just so incredible. And Marbella is like a unique landscape because it can capture. It has so much wealth. But the membership they're charging is €65.
It's mad.
Yeah, and there was like influencers upstairs. It was like they had so many different types of people there. But families were going there.
Yeah.
Elderly were going there, and they did a really good job of getting the right audience because in a place like that, if you attract the wrong crowd, you discriminate the right crowd.
Yeah, 100%.
And the wrong crowd stays for a couple of months. The right crowd stays for 4 years, and they pay every single month, and they'll stay for a long time. So that was like one of the best parts of the journey, seeing that gym. The other parts that were good were just taking the videographer and being around someone with a camera all the time. He had it out all the time, was recording.
Does that still make you nervous in that? Is that just something, do you think that's like
I'm
just
getting
a little
better.
hurdle?
I'm getting better. I think I've got to do loads of reps because I'm such an introvert. I'm a nerd. I realized I'm a introverted nerd deep down, but I have to do this. I have to create content because if I'm telling my clients to do it, I have to do it.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's how I gain the right.
Yeah.
That's how I attract the right people. That's the only way to do business.
Confidence comes from putting in the reps.
Yeah, and I wanted to be. I was one of those people who I grew up thinking I want to be rich and anonymous. You can't be rich and anonymous anymore.
No,
you've got to like put yourself out there. People don't buy a faceless brand anymore. They will buy a brand that has identity, that they can really relate to that person, buy into that person, care about that person's values. It matches the audience's values, and that's how they buy now. So that's why I actually wanted to make this content and get better at it.
100%. And is that like because I still don't actually know you, but just you can enlighten me, guided growth. You've given me I remember like for us, it's always chats in the gym.
Okay.
And when there's chats in the gym, there's never any, it's going to be a 2-minute chat before we're kind of.
Okay, so we always have interesting conversations because, one, you are interesting, but every time we talk, you're talking about growth and you're talking about what more you can do in your business. And that's what I find interesting. That's the type of people I actually connect with because if you're going to talk about your bicep exercise, I'm not bothered.
Yeah.
I don't ever talk to you about training.
I did want to talk to you about my bicep.
But like, I'm not really bothered about training. When I'm in the gym, like, we all know how to train.
It's work, isn't it?
Yeah.
I see training for me is work. It's kind of getting. There's like this needs doing, and then I'm gone. It's just.
I'll give you kind of my career arc. It's basically, I left college early. I wasn't an academic kid. I was piss poor at school, and I didn't really understand what I'm supposed to be even doing there.
Snap.
And I started a call center job at 16, 17. And I was selling gas and electric. But I realized that rejection on the phone, that cold calling, I think that's what it was one of the worst jobs and best jobs because it teaches you thousands of reps of getting no's. And when I did the job, people would constantly say to me, "Oh, you've got the gift of the gab, you know how to talk." And I still didn't believe it.
Yeah.
But what I was doing was I was selling and I was making great commission. I remember being 17, 18 years old and making all this commission and thinking, I don't even know what to do with my money. Because I didn't even want anything. I didn't even want, I've never been big into brands or anything like that. So I remember making all this money and then thinking, what's the next step? And then I was into fitness. So then the money that I saved from there, I think I saved about 15 grand.
Wow.
I used that 15 grand as a kid at 19 and I bought a partnership into a gym called Iron Athlete. That gym was a gym with who's now a close friend of mine. But I bought a partnership into that gym. At 19, we opened this gym. It was like a local community gym in a low-income area. We grew this gym. The gym did amazing. We had people from all over do well. But when I look back, I didn't make that gym work, my partner did, because I was the one who lacked experience. I worked the hours, I did all the manual work, but what I learned was that was my first taste of business. When that business grew, he wanted to grow that business. He had aspirations to do way more. I didn't have those aspirations then. So he said to me, I'm going to sell. I want to grow this business. I want to move to the next stage. I want to view the unit. I looked at the unit thinking, yeah, I could do this, I could do this. And then when it came up to the money, he said, yeah, it's 40 grand each. I thought, I ain't got 40 grand. And I could have gone to the bank to borrow the money, but I didn't have that belief at the time.
The fear kicks in, yeah.
So I remember telling him, I'm not going to do this business trade. I bought myself out of the business. I got a great deal. Bought myself out of the business, and then I've now thought, I love fitness, but I knew very little about it. So what do I need to do? I need to learn. So I went and worked for all the leisure centres, sales jobs, worked up to manager positions, and eventually, like at 23, 24, I ended up starting a job at Virgin Active, and it's a job I really wanted. So I remember being a membership consultant, and my job was just sell 80 memberships a month, sell 100 memberships a month, and I was smashing every record, won all the accolades for that company, eventually progressed to sales manager, moved to London, and then helped grow different sites, different clubs, start looking at commercial as a business, start looking at how I can influence the business as a whole. What more can I do to grow the business, and how would I do it? So if I was in charge of this business, all 42 gyms, what would I do? And I started thinking more in a strategic manner. And then after this was a 7-year period I've just gone through here with Virgin Active. So then I left that. When I left Virgin Active, I went and worked at a swim company, helped a swim company that was a disaster, because I remember working at the swim company, and it was just post-COVID. I remember I started a job. And I had all this experience of working in this massive business, and I started at this swim company, and they said, okay, you're managing these 8 salespeople. I sat there and they said, yeah, it's post-COVID and we're not giving refunds to all the people that paid pre-COVID. Why not? We just don't want to give them the money back. So I realized very fast this wasn't the right business for me. And I knew I could help independent gym owners, and I knew I could help online coaches. So when I had accumulated all those skills over that decade, I thought, now I'm going to leverage those skills and service gym owners and online coaches. So I have 4 different types of customers now. I have a gym owner that potentially wants to open a gym, or has just opened a gym and doesn't know how the sales process or the marketing knowledge to get customers through the door. Second one is a gym owner who's doing very well but wants to scale to a second site. How would you do that? How would you build a leadership team within one site to transition yourself out to open the next gym? So that's one type of customer that I worked with. The second one is an online coach. The online coach is someone who's a personal trainer who works all these hours manually, just training everyone in the gym or at home.
Been there, done that.
And wants to become an online coach. And we give them the right format within 8 weeks on transitioning out of that business into an online business. And whatever income they're making, let's say they're making 2, 3, 4 grand, which is probably what most busy PTs are making. Transition them into an online business, and they'll make that very fast when they understand the basics of marketing and content and how to deliver their services digitally. And then the second person is someone who's got an online business already and doing well, and how do they grow and scale it even more. And to attract these 2 different types of people, gym owners and online coaches, is what I'm trying to do now. And that's why I'm making all this content, because I want to attract those people and help them the right way.
It's good. It's transitional, but it's like it's natural. It's the PT to online coaches transition.
Yeah,
it's a natural progression.
Yeah. How did you break away from PT to online coaching?
So it was COVID-ish. It was actually the end of 2019, so it was pre-COVID, and we'd just had our first child. So PT, I had my own studio at the time, so it was like 6 till 9, 9:30, 10 in the morning. I was in the studio with clients, and then at one point, I'd obviously then go and see the little one, but at one point my wife had gone back to work. So by the time I'd come home, she'd have taken the little one to the grandparents for the day for childcare. I'd then sort of be there twiddling my thumbs. Would they go and train, the usual stuff, tidy up the house, just the typical PT kind of. Listen, unless you're doing 35 hours, PT for some people it's a part time. Even when I look back at those days, it was stress-free days. But my missus would come back from work with the little, and I'd be back down the studio. I wouldn't have dinner with them, and then all of a sudden I'd come in the house and she'd have put our little girl to sleep. So I was just missing out on quite literally. See, there were days where I wouldn't see her, or I'd quite literally be going in there 9, 10 o'clock, just poking my head in while she was just asleep. So I knew something had to change, and I kind of like, I didn't really, because online coaching is a funny one because it is and it isn't in its I would still say it's in its infancy. I know there are some OGs now that have been doing it for 10 years, but if you go back to those kind of COVID days or pre-COVID days, it still wasn't as prominent as it is now. I think it was COVID was like a real, the pandemic was a real kind of turning point for people, or a lot of PTs, where they realised they had to go online because they kind of had no income during those times. So I felt lucky I was kind of a little bit ahead of the game, but I think it's interesting you mentioned learning marketing skills, because as a one-to-one PT, I didn't market at all. It didn't exist. I existed off word of mouth. My current clients sort of stayed for a long time. And if I did, my version of like marketing was there's like a little local Facebook group, and every now and then I'd post something in there and be like taking on clients. But it was easy, if you see what I mean. My reputation, it is, and referrals always will be, but I think like, and even now, I wouldn't say it stresses me out, because it's the more you learn, the more you experience, the more you understand things, the more you kind of I'm one of these people, I turn everything's like a game to me. I think it's a good business head. Like everything's like strategic, and it's like a game.
It's so
right?
funny you say this, because I've been knowing all my friends and saying to them, money's a game.
It's a game, and it really, and do you know what? Like, I think again, the transition from PT to it changed my whole mindset with money and everything. Because again, even when I was, if I go back to the one-to-one PT days, I really had one source of income. It was clients were paying me, and it was like I didn't really have overheads or expenses if they were minimal. Whereas transitioning to an online coach, it became a business which had expenses and it had cash flow. Money came in and money came out, and so you used your whole perspective on. And of course, then like again with one-to-one PT, it's somewhat capped. It is, because it's based on hours worked. So it doesn't matter how high a rate you charge, it's still capped. Whereas I think the transition to online, you start breaking through caps. And I know for me, I remember I think I had a goal at one point to work with 30 clients online, and I was like, oh, that'll do, because it kind of matched what I was earning as a one-to-one PT. I work with double that amount of clients now, and they're still on my own. They're still mostly, I've guy that edits my videos and accountants. I've got people doing certain stuff within the business, but it's still mostly
What's your
just
capacity?
Yeah, define capacity. Define how many hours you want to work, right? I think that's what it always comes down to. So for me to live a balanced, and a balance is a funny word, right? When you run a business, 60-ish is like, I do my check-ins are video check-ins. They're quite in depth. They're not kind of like 2-minute check-ins. It's quite a lengthy process. So 60 is where I will kind of be like, this is a lot of work, a better way to put it is it starts interfering with other parts of the business. So I end up just kind of losing time. And for me, I have to make time for the family as well. It's, spending time with kids is precious time that I won't get back. So it's that balance with what I can do on my own and, how far you want to kind of scale. But I think that's kind of proving the next point. It's somewhat limitless. If you choose to build a team, the sky's the limit, right?
And that's what you're trying to do?
Not at the moment. I'm in a weird stage at the moment, because I don't know if I can relate this to training. I don't know if you can relate. When I go through any growth period, so the last 2 years has been a real growth period where I kind of scaled the business from scratch, if you like. So I wasn't really scaled, just built from scratch to sort of 30-ish clients at the time. Then I made the transition to fully stop doing one-to-one, which was quite a big decision, because at the time it was then losing what was a source of income, so I could fully focus on building the online side of the business. And then from 30 to 60 was where I kind of realized, okay, this is close to the limit that I can handle on my own before building a team. And I think some people scale, and this goes for any business, probably too quick. So for me, I always like periods, and this again, relate this to physique. If I'm going through a period of pushing my calories very high, if I'm putting a lot of stress on my body via training, there has to come a time where I chill for 6-8 weeks, where the food comes down to maintenance, the training intensity. But it's the same thing with business, I think. And for me, it's just a case of I don't ever want to scale before I've got the confidence that things will remain steady. Does that make sense?
That does make sense.
Yeah. So for me, I'm very much in a period now of making sure that consistency is there, making sure I can, I spend a lot of time pumping out content at the moment, but I do also like to test the waters with spending time like, you know, testing things. Can I spend less time on social media and still maintain a consistent business? Can I, you know, there's priorities in the business. For me, will always be looking after current clients. It's the first thing I do in the day because my energy levels are so high.
That's pretty good, because, you know, I don't know if you read Atomic Habits by James Clear. You know, one of the things he speaks about is being process-driven or goal-driven. And I am naturally goal-driven, but I have to learn to be process-driven.
Yeah.
And, you know, like the process of making podcasts, making content,
Yeah.
I'm always thinking about the goal. I'm always thinking about how many leads I want, how do I get people through the door, and how many people I can help. But I need to actually tone it down and be process driven.
It's fascinating because I would say I'm completely process driven. It's the same with
the
same with the way I am with training. It's a lot of the same principles because, and as long as, you know, when I was really building the business, the online side of the business, I realized how crucial those systems were, and it was no different to my systems for making sure I stay on top of my nutrition. I need to plan for that. I need to plan for that. Everything's time, revolves strictly around time, you know, when I'm going to train, when I'm going to do this, and this is exactly the same running the business. It is 100% the same. So if you look at my to-do list, if you look at my diary, it's the same. I block out the same periods of time, and it's kind of the priority list of, like I said, you know, client, what's the word? You know, clients always come first, so check-ins are always done first thing. But content and every job I have allocated has its own kind of, you know, blocked out time.
That's amazing.
It has to be.
Good. It's good organisation.
I'd get stressed out otherwise. I'm like really calm. You probably know me as quite calm until if I lived where I just woke up and didn't have a to-do list or didn't know I was doing that at that time, that's when you'll see me go to absolute shit.
I can watch things burn so calmly.
No, I know, yeah, me too. But is this the control of how the day runs? If that makes sense. That will stress me out to the max.
I care a lot about control.
Yeah.
But I'm very stoic, so I'm very calm. My personality is very like relaxed. And I wanted to ask you, you've got like 60 clients, so you know how to sell. Where did you learn how to sell? Yeah,
see, this is where it's interesting, because I think times change, and this is a fascinating one, because I don't like, and this is a weird one, right? I don't almost see like signing up a client as a sale.
What do you see as?
I don't know, because I think this is the thing, when I run such an organic business, everything's very organic. So even the conversations I have, they're not pushy. I've never had anyone on a I don't even like calling them sales calls, like a consultation call. Yeah, but it's because I don't know. I don't know. I think like the most important thing for me is always delivering the highest quality service I can, and my retention rates speak a lot for that. I've clients been with me for like 2.5, 3 years since literally day one, since day dot, and average retention rates are over a year, which is great, because I had no idea what to expect. When I sort of in my head I was like, people are going to do like 12-16 week cuts for summer and then leave, and I'm just going to constantly have to be and no. So it's meant, in a weird way, it's taken a lot of pressure off of content creation for me, because I'm not ever doing anything thinking of the sale. I'm not thinking of more money. I'm not thinking of like, it's a very different driven. It's driven on this kind of the life I want to live, looking after my family and being able to, you know, I still pinch myself sometimes that I've got an office in my spare room and I somehow make a good living from it, you know. I'm genuinely quite humble with that side of things. So I tend to not think of like sales, and it's interesting, right, the difference in mindset.
You know, you were talking about that goal and retention with clients, 12 to 16 weeks. I recently built out like a whole specific guided growth check-in sheet that we give to our online coaches, and I designed the sheet in a way where they put their short-term goal, medium and long-term goal, because if you don't engage your client in a long-term goal, when they hit that short-term goal, they'll leave. So you won't retain. So like, you'll always reinforce, the current goal is to lose that 6-7 kilos or pounds, whatever it is. And then when they come in close to hit it a few weeks before, remind them of that long-term goal, and regularly dropping that long-term goal.
I actually do that. And again, I think like there's like we always talk about putting in the repetition, right? It is, repetition is the most underrated life skill anyone could learn, right? Do something again and again enough times, you will get good at it. So yeah, without a doubt. And I think you have to remember in the coaching world, in fitness, like people still think you can build a physique in 12 weeks. And of course we know you can't. So, and of course in sales, even though I said I don't like talking sales, of course with sales, it doesn't work as a good selling point to tell someone they're going to have to spend the next decade decade working on their body to really see the results, right? It's not good. It's too far away a selling point. So, yeah, no, you're 100% right. And I tend to exactly that. The initial goal is crucial, and something I do and something I talk about regularly, and I quite openly tell those clients, is we get a huge win very early on, and it's normally a trust related win. So when someone said they can never lose, or they've never got below a certain weight, or there's a lift, and it could be anything, a lift in the jar, I've never had that for 8 reps as a PB, I'd love. So that becomes, for me as a coach, like a crucial, I don't really tell them, but for me it's like in the background, I'm like, right, we're going to get that very quick. Because then you get the trust then gets built very quickly. So you're at a point where you kind of like, I've had clients say it where, it's 6 weeks in, they hit a milestone they didn't think possible, and they're just like, oh my God, what next? It goes into that phase. They're like, what's next? So you're then very much kind of leading them into the next phase.
You say you don't really sell, and you try to steer. And do you know something? But
it's because I'm not thinking of it. I'm genuinely, I'm not thinking. Listen, why am I an online coach? To get paid at the end of the day. I hate it when people turn around and go, oh, do this. It's like, of course we're in it to get paid. But I think it's more just in my mind, it's always about, the priority is always helping that person.
Well, if you're getting paid, it allows you to invest more in your business so you can help more people.
Correct.
So like the idea of having that capitalist view of, I'm going to grow my business, I'm going to charge people more, it allows you to build a bigger business to help more people.
But listen, what is, we all know, and this goes back when we mentioned referrals. It doesn't matter what industry you're in, referrals are always, because referrals eliminate trust. When you've got someone who's just seen me on an Instagram video, they have to go through a whole period of, who is this guy? Do I even like this guy? Hang on a minute. They have to spend some time. And some of the stats and stuff you read on that's pretty crazy as well, because with social media, you need touch points. How many times have you, so I do this all the time, how many times have you had someone, they pop up in your explore feed and you watch a video, so you're engaged, you're like, okay, you still don't hit follow. You're almost like, you still don't like them enough to follow. I
think it's about 8 touch points before you...
Wow, and that's quite a lot. So then you're popping up in someone's feed again, and then all of a sudden you hit the follow button, and then once you hit the follow button, what do you start doing? You start seeing their Instagram stories, and again, this is all really useful stuff for if you are running a business, because I'm very aware of how to use Instagram, because
you create, you don't consume.
Correct, but you have to think about how you consume. Because I think that's where people go wrong sometimes, when they're just in the, I fully agree, but what you have to do is, like, if you just sell, if all I did on Instagram was sell, my following would start going down.
Well, you've got to give first. You've got to build that awareness up to ask.
For a long time.
Yeah, for a long time.
And that was the marketing skill that for me, when I was, running the studio, when I was self-employed, just PT, marketing didn't exist. It just wasn't a thing. It was just kind of like referrals. And if a client left, I maybe would have to take some sort of drastic action, i.e. put out a little ad or something, and it would just be filled very quickly. So the marketing and using Instagram was a skill that very much I had to learn, and I'm still learning and still perfecting.
A good lesson that I've been delivering to our online coaches is the difference between TikTok and Instagram. One of the biggest differences, Instagram shows you what you like, you interact with this, let me show you more of that. TikTok will actually throw random things at you
to see if you like it.
And that's how you can get so viral on TikTok, because it will throw things at you that the algorithm can predict you might like this. Yeah,
and I have to admit, I'm still like, I'm a miserable old man when it comes to TikTok. I'm still like, this is for kids, I don't like it. But I repurpose my Instagram reels, because it's the easiest way to. I repurpose them on Facebook.
Are you doing YouTube Shorts?
Do you know what? I'm not. But I'm going to, like, there is now hundreds and hundreds of reels, and what I will do is do it very quickly, so I will just mass upload, sort of 2-3
with
a
YouTube
day.
Shorts, you can actually upload 2-3 a day.
With that's Instagram, what I'll do.
Initially, you'll just think, right, let me just get my reps in. Like most online coaches, the first step is you're going to record your content. Let's get you up 3 videos a week, 3 posts a week. Then refine. You do a messaging matrix, so it's like, what's 3 core pillars that you're trying to speak of, and every single one of your posts will have one of those pillars. At the moment, one of my pillars that's growing is testimonials. So every one of my 3 posts will relate back to a testimonial. One of my 3 posts will relate back to a core value of my business and educating online coaches and gym owners. And another one will be more lifestyle, more about me. So if it's not relating to one of those 3 core pillars, I won't post it.
Yeah.
And I constantly ask myself that question. Does this relate to my 3 core pillars for my audience? No, I'm not going to post it.
And it's so important you mentioned the about you, because we talk about everything being a personal brand now. This was something in my early days with Instagram, because I'm you just said about you being an introvert. I'm quite an introvert, and I'm quite a private person. So if I for example just had like a my own like private Instagram, I'd post a little bit of my kids, my family, but generally I'm also quite like boring, like as in like with what, like my weekends are quiet. If you see me, like engagement on Instagram goes up on a weekend because more people are about, and I tend to go quiet because I'm not doing anything, right? But people love, one thing I noticed when you are, and I don't know if you noticed this even when you're in Marbella, like when you are on holiday and you're posting meals out and you're posting these views, engagement goes up. People are nosy. People want to see what you're doing.
People are nosy, but are the right people noisy? No,
of course, and then you have got a point there. But part of it being the right people is you have to still be exposing. You just have. I
got to make it.
Yeah.
I would actually challenge you on the weekend stuff. Your family, whatever you're doing, what you seem
as boring
is interesting.
Yeah, it's true. Post it.
Yeah. So
I try to. I do. It's one of those things I think, because I've gone through. We talk about growth phases. I mean, some of the growth phases, I was working 7 days a week. It was bad. It was the work-life balance. But I think that's necessary. I think anyone that shies away from graft, there's a time and a place.
You care about balance a lot?
No. It's not. I have to. If I listen, it would be, and I don't want to word it like this because, of course, my family are my family. But I think having young kids, you have to. Like I would regret 20 years time, 30 years time missing out on these times.
I'm Rudy. I can't wait to have kids.
Yeah, it's now. It's so important, and even like. When I mentioned one-to-one PT and missing out on kids, morning and bedtime, they are my two favourite times of the day. So I wake up an hour earlier than I need to get up in the morning so that I can go and walk the dogs and do all the bits and pieces that need doing so that I get home just in time for my daughter to wake up. That's so amazing. I can cuddle her for an hour. So that's how much of a priority that is for my day. Same with like bedtime. It's just making sure I can tuck her in at night.
Your followers don't know that. I'm on your Instagram. And now, like, obviously they do now.
Yeah.
But I would say, like, these core beliefs that or your character is why I would invest in you as a coach.
100%.
Because, if someone has family values,
they're going to relate to that.
They're an integral character that I want to invest in.
And I think that's a key. It's a key, because one thing I used to be a little bit more afraid of on social media was like my opinion on stuff, but that's what people want, and you just have to be confident enough to kind of understand that someone won't like this and will unfollow you, which is fine, and then someone will like this and then gravitate more towards you because they are like, and it was only when I started posting a little bit more. I did it as a little bit of a sort of test run last summer. Do you remember the shirtless angry reels? I did a handful of them.
I thought they were lovely.
Yeah. But like, I just was just like, why shirt off? Just because why not, right? So the shirt went off. And it was just they were all rants. They were like ranty kind of posts, and I got called all sorts of names, and I got like comments. It was great for the algorithm, and like. But the point I was trying to make is that what also happened during that period is people would message me going, "Oh my God, you're so right. This is so." It was like you're pushing some people away, and some people were going.
Controversy sells.
Yeah, it really does.
And you want to be captivated, and the right people get drawn to you.
It's not just about doing it just for the controversy. I think it's genuinely like, one of the rants I had was like, it's not even something I truly believe in. It was a rant against snacking. I remember it was the one that got people were enraged, right, because I was attacking the snack. But there's nothing there's nothing I snack. There's nothing wrong with snacking, right? But it was the goal of that reel was to almost trigger like a small amount of people that the snack is genuinely holding them back. And what was ironic is the people that were getting annoyed, it wasn't even relevant to them, which proves a perfect point. Is that you still need to put that kind of content out. You still need to put your beliefs and your opinions on things are crucial. They're absolutely crucial.
Yeah. Give me one of your beliefs. What do you believe in for growing your business? What's a definite? Do
you know what? The first course, if you like, I wouldn't call it a mentorship. It was a course when it came to like going online. It was a pretty basic. I don't know if you know Sidhu and OFB. He runs Stridis now, which is like an app, like a coaching app. But one of his sort of mantras, one of his key core beliefs, I really resonated with, which is why I kind of worked with him in the first place. And all my core beliefs are very simple. So with my training beliefs are also very simple, right? But his was do a good job. And when you say something that's so stupidly simple that you like, and what? And you're like, and nothing, just do a good job, right? When you are coaching, and this was one of the things in my first like handful of clients, I trained 2 clients for free. just so I could get as much testimonial as possible. And I wouldn't even just say testimonial. What I did was I messaged them daily. So I would just be like, how was your training session yesterday? And then every single reply I got, it was everything via WhatsApp, I would just screenshot. So I just had this absolute mass of not even testimonials, just kind of social proof, right? Just had these just message after message after message, and I just made sure that it was all positive. So I was just going out of my way for daily accountability. Did you hit your steps? So it was rather than like just a weekly check-in, they were practically checking in with me, not just daily, but multiple times daily, because I was like, this is my opportunity. They're not paying me. They are quite literally like working with me for free. So I'm just going to go above and beyond to do as good a job as I can.
That was part of the reps that you had to do to get good.
Neither of them signed up with me, and it was devastating.
Oh,
they had it for free
because they had it for free.
Yeah. But I remember, and that was actually a big lesson, because I remember the feeling of them not signing up, and then like it was such a dent to my, because it felt like starting from scratch. But what I did,
a great lesson.
It was a great lesson, it was a great lesson. Don't give things away for free. Yeah. But I mean, in that instance, I actually would still agree it was the right thing to do. And I would probably say if someone was starting now and wanted a bit of advice, I would probably still say do the same thing. I was like, find 2 people that are going to be really good to coach them for 12, just get them incredible results, and just use that social proof, because that's what I did. It was just the bombardment on Instagram of social proof, because people post content all the time that's like, half the time not relevant. I wouldn't even call it content. Where a coach just posts a picture of themselves and then at the bottom it just says DM for online coaching. It's not really marketing. It may be a few years ago that might have worked.
I was just about to say, a few years ago, the early Instagram.
Yeah.
Look, I'm new to the game.
Pictures.
So you just post pictures topless,
just
and
DM for coaching.
You will get followers. You look good, and the market's at this point, it's not saturated. I'm going to follow you.
Yeah.
But now, those coaches who are trying to convert to online coaching, there's no values, there's no proposition. They don't really trust you. They don't know you. All they know that you've got abs. So they're not really going to buy into 100%. Your business now.
And you know what else that you need to remember is that the quality of content has gone, like, it's vastly improved. Yeah. So this is where even, I continue to level up my content creation now, hiring a video editor. Jacob saves me hours and he does it better than me. And I think that's in any instance like that, you have to sit there and go, that is then, he is invaluable, because it's like he's saving me time and he's doing a better job that is making things pop. And I think that the noisier any space gets, you have no choice, because otherwise you just get left behind.
Your business, is this the first hire?
I mean, he's not a member of staff. Yeah,
is your outsourcing work, and is this the first time you've really given a dedicated task to someone in your business?
No, I had a VA.
Okay,
and it was a horrific experience for me personally, because it went down the route of cold DMs, and I don't know, it just really didn't sit well with me. So I had a brief moment when I've got quite a good gut instinct. So I've got good judge of character. When you meet, I remember when I met you, I just liked you instantly, right? So it's quite a natural thing whether you gravitate towards people or not. You get those people that you're just not sure about, and it just kind of ties in nicely with what we were just saying. With that's Instagram, I'm popping up in people's feeds. They're just either gonna like me or they're not, which is fine. But the VA I don't know. What they basically did was their strategy, if you like, was to cold DM. I think they'd go through, I want to say like 50 to 100 DMs a day. And what the logic was is if they just DM enough people and throw enough kind of, hooks, bait, someone, you'll get a hook. And that's basically what happened. So in a week, they would literally send like 1,000 messages, but they were cold. So most people would ignore you. I got told to fuck off in the DMs. I got told and it really didn't sit with me well, because everything I've just said about my values and do a good job and not seeing people as sales or money, it started going against it. It was just like desperately trying to get people
just
on a sales.
Just ask you a question to give you the opposite, play devil's advocate. If you were selling music on the street, and you were approaching strangers selling a CD, would you feel any shame in it?
No, and I think that, and this is where it really just it is difficult to explain, because I see what they were doing. So it's just what it is. This wasn't for me. Does that make sense? It was just for me as a business owner, for my personal brand, for the way I engage with people, and like, I'll give you an idea. Like, they were like sending messages that were quite personal. So they'd message someone and be like, "Oh, I saw you out with because they'd posted a picture like out with their kids on the weekend."
Okay, well, there's a right way to do things, and there's a right way to speak to people. If you're gonna go straight for kids and try to get the emotional attachment, I don't think that's a good method. I think it's a bit of a cheap tactic.
Yeah.
But there is a right way to do it, and
Yeah.
you know the rule of 100, where you send
Oh,
100
without
of
doubt,
anything.
it's a percent. Everything's a
Yeah.
numbers game. If everything is a numbers game,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
How much money a business makes is a numbers game. It's just it's a volume game.
You know, recently I was reviewing numbers with an online coach, and we were looking at how many leads he's closed from inquiring to closed as new clients for him.
Yeah.
He was closing at 50%. So we tweaked 2 or 3 different things. The one thing we tweaked was, are you asking enough questions? The first thing I looked at was, how long is your call? His call was about 30 minutes. We cut the call down to 20 minutes to show more urgency.
Yeah.
Then the next thing that we did was start getting him to ask open-ended questions that he's doing less of the talking.
Yeah, without
because what I found was when I was supporting him on the calls, he was talking for 80% of the calls.
Was he coaching on calls as well? Because that's a
Yes.
classic. You see, yeah.
And he turned it into the what, how, where questions.
Yeah.
And instantly, the client was talking more. He gave nothing away about his business or how he does anything, but he
Yeah.
was genuinely interested. And I call it selling with kindness.
Yeah.
That's my thing that I always tell people, because if you sell with genuine kindness and genuine curiosity, when you're talking to any client or potential client, you will close more.
It's more natural, yeah.
Just that one changed, moved him up to 50% to 60%. That one change. Just how him. And then the next thing was him asking more assertive questions, like instead of him saying, when do you want to sign up? He'd just assume they want to sign up. So he'll say, should we get started?
Leading.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just a few basic sales methodologies and tricks that we added onto him. So it moved his sales ratio. Now he's at like 72%.
Wow, yeah.
And just measuring, because like, you know, you were talking about you don't really like to sell, your method is all organic.
Yeah.
Where I'm very process driven. So when someone comes to me and they say, you know, I want to grow my business, I can't improve it if I can't measure it.
That's true, of course.
So one, organic is hard to measure. Paid is very easy to measure.
Of course.
But what we can control is how much you output. So your content, you're now posting regularly, you're posting every day, and I love, like, you're posting amazing, informative videos, you're providing a lot of value, and you're now going to get even more inquiries, and I know that your coaching base will grow because you're providing value and you're providing the right content. And it's just that following that trend, doing the right things.
And learning what works for you as well, because I think this is another one, it's understanding, you know, and the speed at which algorithms change, platforms change. Like Facebook Reels are back. Facebook Reels are smashing it. In fact, my Facebook Reels are smashing it harder than the Instagram Reels, like without a single doubt. And so, yeah, like you just kind of have to stay. And like, you know, I can't remember where I read it or can't remember where I saw it, but like, you know, just because you run an online business where you can target, for me personally, like there is still a local Facebook group that I still post in every now and then, or that someone looking for a PT, because my name still comes up from my reputation when I was a one-to-one PT, my name still pops up, and then they end up inquiring with me, and I say, well, I'm not actually operating out the studio anymore, but let's talk about kind of what I do now. And I've had clients.
You
sign
can
up that
sell.
way, so. Yeah. I just it's just my way of not seeing it as selling, right? But I think it's also like, there's another one I see, you know, when we were talking about the old school way of just posting your physique and putting DM for coaching, is do you still see coaches just sell features? I see it I get adverts for it, and it's like bespoke training plans, personalized.
No one cares
No
about
one
your
cares.
features.
But this is like cars now in 2023, advertising and going, oh yeah, it's got power steering and heat. No one cares. Like all cars have that. It's not it's literally meaningless. It's selling features instead of actually who you are and the result as well, and that just personality, like who you are, exactly as we said, what you believe in, what you are all about.
Yeah, it is that, you know, sell the result, not the features. Benefits and features don't sell. They don't really captivate. And, you know, like in paid advertising, like we're now running ads for gym owners. So one thing that we're doing is building the entire ad for the gym owner and running their ads for their business. And we can quickly find, the cost of acquisition for a lot of gyms at the moment is about 35 quid for them to acquire a new customer on paid advertising. And we can find the right audience type, get them the clients to the door, and then now we also have a sales team where we can call their leads and get the member joined for them. but that entire process, it just most won't understand that process. So it's just more me saying to the gym owner, let me just take
Leave it
over.
with us.
Yeah, we'll do it for you.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of that's in my world. I track a lot of metrics via social media and what works, and going through insights and going that. I think that data is powerful, but yeah, you can't beat paid advertising when it comes to like the actual pixel and that, and how much it's crazy, right?
Like for you, you've grown to 60 clients organically.
Well, that's at a time, by the way, because it's over 250 clients worked with. So that's my consistent. Now it's like one out, one in kind of thing.
Would you consider paid advertising?
Yeah, I've never mastered it. Okay. So I've never
Have you ever run an ad before?
Yeah. Okay. I've got ads running as we speak, actually. Okay. Funny enough, but it's what it is I've never mastered the process. So it's like that's one of those things. I definitely need to outsource.
The main thing that you need to know is the audience type. You want to know how to find the right audience. Actually, I would backtrack and say the first thing that you need to have is a conversion. So where are they going? Are they going to click on a landing page? Is that landing page optimized? Is everything set up so when that lead comes in, they're going to book a call or have that call to action? That's the first thing. And now when you spread the word and they click on the bait that you've set out, they're only going to convert if that conversion's there. But finding the right audience is key. Knowing which audience to track, how to retarget to that audience if they've interacted with any of your posts. So there is a real trick to, I'm quite lucky, I've got a marketing manager now, and he'll run all the ads. He'll run all the ads for any gym, he'll run the ads for any fitness coach, and it's a pretty amazing service because we sell the result. Yeah. We'll tell a gym owner or online coach, we will do X for you in X weeks. And that is how we've been growing that side of the business.
A coach is like, again, talking of selling features, what you were saying about advertising, it's also you think about how times have changed, talking again. I remember in 2019, 2020, I think I had a free calculator in my bio that got so many clicks. Like, whereas now it would just be void. I know it would be void. The kind of things I have to use when it comes to running ads, I tend to use like video learning or webinar, again, something where I can talk to an audience, whereas that got that little bit more of a personal touch.
Education sells.
Yeah, educational stuff, basically.
The free
I can throw a bit of personality in there as well.
Yeah, they do want to see more of you. After watching that video, they'll consume. Remember, whatever you're giving away for free is bait for them to then buy to lead them to something. So it's best to always show yourself in some way because it gets them used to you. And then you kind of have to have that tiered system where take this for free. If you like it, come for more. I've got something for 50 quid, for 100 quid on my website, a product or a service I can sell you. And then I've got something really high ticket. Yeah. When I'm looking at a lot of online coaches, they only have 150, 200 pound online coaching, and that's it.
Nothing else.
I've been trying to make a course to sell online, to actually give away most of the course online on how to build something high ticket, and how I would actually advise to do it is think of everything you can do. Think of everything you can do for a client. You can do if you could do their shopping for them, if you can build a macro sheet for them, every little food, diet plan, training. Think of how many, you could be as creative as you want for that client. If you go to a restaurant, you send me the menu, I'll look over that menu. Yeah. If you think of your dream product that you can make and then think, what is that worth in price? That's your high ticket. And then usually you want to make it so the client sees whatever you're offering in that offer for that product is 10 times the value. So if you're charging $1,000, it's worth 10 grand. And that's a great deal for the client and a great deal for you. And that's how you sell. You sell a high ticket product based on you providing so much that it can't be denied. Like you've currently got online coaching. Yeah. Whatever price you charge for online coaching, if I asked you, what else could you add on? If you was to have your dream client, what else would you sell them?
Don't know. It's an interest, because then you've also got the whole argument for like there's a lot of people that run incredible businesses with it's a subscription model where the cost is very low, but the volume of traffic is very high.
Do you prefer that, or would you like to have something a high ticket to sell?
I don't know, because I think for me personally, for where my business is at now, I think high ticket, there's always that kind of like, I hear that phrase a lot. You hear the high ticket, and it's like you have to be selling more.
I think the opposite. I think when something is expensive, it takes less selling because the type of person that you attract
It's a different, it's just a different moment.
So-
maybe that for me is that maybe that's where I haven't thought
And the
about
reason
that
why I
kind
ask you is because you have so much to offer. When I speak to you in the gym, you've got so much training knowledge. And what else can you actually package in that online coaching? Can you offer more of what you actually
Just
know?
more.
Your
Yeah,
knowledge,
more.
your more knowledge.
Yeah.
And I think there is more to give. You can always give more to your clients.
Of course.
And how do you design that into a product?
Yeah.
How do you package it? How do you deliver it? And then you can sell it.
Interesting. So does that tend to be when you're working with online coaches? Is that one of your first points? Is to increase what they're?
So if it's a new coach, it's very easy. We transition them out of personal training, moving them into online coaching.
Yeah, I think that phase is, as you said, there's much more simple.
Easy win.
Simple, yeah.
But building the high ticket package is more about that individual. What can they sell? Let's say I've been speaking to someone and he's from a martial arts background.
Yeah. So it's very niche.
Yeah. Now, what can he design for a specific martial arts? If you're a jiu-jitsu fighter and you have a diet for them.
Yeah.
And then what else can you actually offer that jiu-jitsu fighter as well as diet? And you'll stack all these things and that'll build out your package.
And that's the more you niche, there is that argument, because they say in marketing, if you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one, right? And because there is some now, you're starting to kind of see, I've seen online coaches that niche into, there's a guy, I think he was on the same course I did. He was like type 1 diabetes coach, and he was convinced when we did the course, he was like, no way am I going to have a client base doing that. And they were like, seriously, content, everything is just for type 1 diabetics. And he went all in, booming, like absolutely booming, because he's now just talking to such a specific, and listen, and I do get that, because if you think, would you do if you're I don't know, pick anything, if you're going to a dentist and you want composite bonding, right? And you find 2 dentists and you go on one dentist and they do a bit of this, a bit of that, and you go on and they've done cool, they've posted a root canal, and then the next one is like, all right. And then you go on the next guy's page and it is called the Composite Bonding King, and you just go through and it's just composite bonding. Which one are you going to go with? You go with the expert, right? You go with the one who...
Do you know, this is... when I went to Marbella, I took a cameraman with me, and so Mateen, I took him with me, and it was his first time going abroad, and it kind of turned into like a mentoring thing for him.
Yeah.
On the second day, he said to me, "Can you mentor me?" And I said to him, "I only really work with fitness businesses." And
what's the difference?
Yeah, he was so eager.
Yeah.
And he was willing to do the work. So I've just taken him on. Only in the last 2 or 3 days, he's come on the program, and we've built out an 8-week plan for him. Every week he's checking in, and we're building his business. And when I've been speaking to him, I said, "Who do you target?" And he said, "I target wedding photography, fitness, and
wedding photography
and takeaway restaurants."
Yeah.
He needs to hone in on one.
Yeah, weddings. Just tell him weddings. I've never been mugged off as hard as when I got married.
And what did you pay for your wedding?
Honestly, I stopped counting past 20 grand. Honestly, because for the exact reason what you just, I'll never forget. It was stuff like we had like what do you call them? Marquee. And I swear they just, like, the closer we got to wedding, it would be like, they quoted, like, the marquee I'm sure was like 3 grand, and you're just like, hang on a minute. I even started Googling just like, how much is it to hire a marquee of the same size, but not for a wedding? And everything was half the price. Just tell him to go down the wedding route.
Unfortunately, weddings are seasonal.
Yeah.
So like,
but if you make enough in that
season, that's true. Then you can do something else for another 6 months. But
go on holiday.
So he's just come onto the program. Like, now I'm thinking, I can help so many people, but I'm reluctant to almost show that on my socials. Yeah, because that's not my demographic.
Yeah. 100%.
So like, look, I'm more than happy to help this young lad out. He's going to be working with me. He's probably going to be traveling with me again. Yeah. He's probably going to come down and do a shoot for us. But I'm now directing people to work with that niche, and that's so important.
But niching's an interesting one, because I see people, like, when people struggle to niche, you see them do you ever see this one where they'll go like, I work with men aged 30 to 50, and I'm like, is that a niche, or is that just, it's not really a niche, is it? Like, you kind of like, and people misunderstand this one as well, because I think, and I don't know, you'll be interested to get your thoughts on this, I think like personality type is a niche.
Yep, that is.
This is where that importance of showing some of your personality and showing how you are and what you believe in is absolutely crucial, because for me, I know if I'm going to work with, so I work very closely with my coaching clients, so check-ins are video check-ins. I have some of my clients leave me, a lot of them leave me voice notes or videos as well, where we're talking. There's a lot of touch points. We communicate. We use WhatsApp, so we're not using an app. We're very kind of hands-on when it comes to touch points. And so if I'm not well aligned with that, and it's happened, it becomes really difficult. You have to, even just from a banter point of view, or sometimes from more serious points of view, there are elements of coaching where you're dealing with people's private lives and stuff, and serious stuff in their life going on, that you have to be able to connect with that person on a deeper level than just coach and, someone wanting to get in better shape. You have to form these deeper relationships. So personality type is crucial.
When I look at your 60 clients, what's the obvious trends?
As in just who they are.
In the people, what is the obvious trends?
I would tell you the main one will come down to personality type. We're always well aligned, so and that's where I learned more about niching and who I'm talking to. And this is where it became more important to. My sense of humor is quite dry. I was like, put it across in content. And I still, I don't know what you think. You see my content. I still don't think I put enough of my personality across.
No, I don't think you do.
Yeah. And the people that know me are like, it's you. We can tell it's you. Like, you're not putting anything on. You're talking like you. But like, they're like, you can give more.
Well, what we can do is we can do a short exercise after off the camera where we'd write down a messaging matrix that you'd have. So the 3 core values of your business. So one is obviously your educational stuff. What are the other 2? And then we'd kind of tweak when you have those 3 pillars. Every time you're about to make a post,
it's got to be aligned.
And then what it also does is it puts pressure on you to make posts for specific pillars in the week, because right now you're great at this form, but the other 2, and this, remember, the whole point of this pillar system that I have is so your audience becomes to trust you, and they'll only trust you if they really know you. If you just show one side of yourself, they're not going to trust you.
Without
it's
doubt.
not enough. And for you to build that trust with the audience, you'll share those 3 pillars, but equally. And then you'll push and pull on them throughout the month.
Do you know what the best engaging poll I ever did on Instagram, ever, was a load of questions about my personal, who I am, where I grew up, how old I am, how tall I am. It was all just stuff that, like, I would, in your head, you'd think, no one gives a fuck about it. No one cares about this, right? How old am I? Then it would have like 32, 34, 36, 38. And it was like, the engagement on that was insane. If I go through my insights now, I've never had as many views in my stories as that, and I've never had as many votes on that.
So let's put that into a pillar. The most engagement you ever got was curiosity about you, which kind of says your audience at that point didn't know enough about you.
Yeah, 100%.
So like, if I was to say to you, what could you post so your audience gets to know you better? What would you say it is?
I don't know. Like I say, it would have to be. And I think there's a fine line. Like, you can't, posting bedtime stuff with the kid. You know what I mean? But it's like, I just think, and I think like I know that's when I tend to go more, weekends, or when I'm like, if I go through my stories, if I look at what I've posted today, it will be work stuff. I always try and throw the kids in and do you know what? The reason why it's important to post more of that stuff is because it will be little, like, I don't know. We all know. Everyone knows I love a can of Monster, right? But I've had messages from people that go, "Oh, have you tried this new flavor? Have you had this one?" And I go, "No." And from someone I've never spoken to in my life, "No, I haven't." And then all of a sudden, you form like this little Monster friendship, and and then I'm like, "Oh, I finally had that one. It's really good, right?" But 18 months down the line, they sign up for coach. Or do you see what I'm trying to say? And this is how those common grounds and those connections and, taglines and stuff, when more of my strength days, when it was everything was squats and deadlifts, but everything was RPE piss. Do you remember that? RPE piss. But that became a tagline to a point where if I commented on someone's training video, if I was like, that deadlift was savage, they'd reply, be like, what'd you call it? RPE piss. And I'm like, it's so important. These little kind of like, bits of your personality, little phrases you've made up, little kind of like, and it's amazing. Who would think that something like a can of Monster can like bring people together? But
I think how I connected with you, it was your music taste.
Is that how we first clicked?
Yeah, so I met you in the gym.
Yeah.
And obviously, everyone in the gym that we go to is a nice guy.
Yeah.
You get along with everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it came about that you shared your playlist.
I do remember the conversation, actually, because I remember you said, I think I had my head, I actually do remember it. I think you went, what are you listening to? And I did the normal, I was like, you wouldn't like it.
Yeah.
And then you were like, try me.
Because it's just noise.
Yeah. And I was like, but I remember you were like, try me. And it was just like, oh, you know, almost one of those, all right. Like, as if like, you just go, oh, yeah, I don't like that. And then I think I either gave you my headphones.
You stereotyped me.
Yeah, I did. I just completely judged you. Yeah, but I think I either gave you the headphones and you were like, this is sick. And we just started talking. You're like, do you know this band? I was like, yeah, I do. And I was like, right, let me send you this playlist. And like, that was it. But it's true.
Sometimes I listen to chaos.
It's needed. Do you know what I find weird? That like only metalheads will understand this. That it calms my mind. People hear it as noise and they're like, "Oh my god, how can you listen to that noise?" And I'm like, it is the most calming thing in the world.
Do you know? I remember when I used to go to the gym. When I used to lift heavy back in the day. You know, and I used to listen to Disturbed, and I used to find it so peaceful.
It just makes you like it's calm.
And I'm not even talking about the peaceful song "Hello Darkness."
Yeah. Like one of the rages.
I'm talking about the old Indestructible album. And I used to listen to it, and I used to feel so calm, and I used to train, and there was such a calming feel to that chaos.
I feel you, man. Yeah, I'm exactly the same with the heavy music. It's funny, isn't it? Because people see it as noise. Perspective, eh?
Yeah, life is all perspective.
Of course.
It was been really good speaking to you.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you for listening to the show. You've made it this far, so the least you could do is subscribe, like, share, tell all of your friends all about it, and be hungry, not thirsty.